All right, we've covered the basics in the learning the language of music with Bach. One of the most important videos I think I've made so far, along with rudiments. And rudiments have nothing to do with what you've learned before. What you've learned before is just, I don't know, theoretical, just a lot of information which doesn't mean anything. Basics, rudiments, let's say, are something that is necessary in your playing, not just necessary for understanding theory. Okay? Now, the first job you have is to practice the piece, not to practice the theory. That doesn't do anything. There's nothing to practice in theory because by definition it's just information which is useless. So I'm going to take today the Bach Kleine Preludium number 5. You can see it okay from the book of preludes. It's a marvelous, marvelous piece. I love it. It's one of my favorites. It's in the key of D minor. All right, let's practice D minor. All right. Now, first of all, D minor, yes, it's relative to the key of F major, but that's only one part of its relationship. The other part of its relationship is it's related to its own scale, its own major scale. So if we take two tetrachords, I hate technical terms like this, but sometimes they're helpful. Tetra means 4, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4. And in a tetrachord, you've got whole step, whole step, whole step. I mean half step. So whole step, half step. Then from the 5th note of the scale, you have again whole step, half step. So it's the same thing. From 1 and from 5. Whole step, half step. Now, your job, first of all, do that on various black notes and white notes. Whole step, half step. To 5 is a whole step, half step. Whole step, half step. So that you can see that. Do that somewhere else. B. Whole step, half step. From 5, whole step, half step. That gives you your basic major scale. Now, maybe you know the major scale, but that's not the point. You probably practiced the major scale, but that's practicing major scales, just practicing it is not intelligent. It's just da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So, all right, now, in the key of D minor, let's start off with a D major scale. Let's bring it up here. Okay? Now, lower the 3rd, and you got a D minor scale. Now, what do we have here? We've got, as far as the characteristic intervals are concerned, the major 3rd, the minor 3rd, the major 6th, and the major 7th. Also, look at the right hand tetrachord. It's basically the A major tetrachord. Then you go on up 5, 6, 7, 8. So when you have a minor tetrachord in the left hand and a major tetrachord in the right hand, you've got your melodic minor scale. How about that, huh? But that's not normal, of course, because normal, then it conforms to the F major relative major scale. So then we lower the 3rd, we lower to the minor 6th, and we lower the major 7th to the minor 7th. So now we have a minor 3rd, a minor 6th, and a minor 7th. Okay. Now, those two tetrachodes don't match. Okay? But you've got to know the characteristic intervals of everything you're doing. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. Minor 6, minor 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the major 6th. Minor 6. 1, 2, 3. Major 7th. Minor let's see, majors, yeah, okay, major 6th, major 7th, minor 6th, minor 7th. Lower the major, half step becomes minor. Lower the major 7th, the half step becomes minor. Okay. Excuse me. There we go. Okay, now, we also have the minor 6th and the major 7th. Minor 6th, major 7th. That's called the harmonic minor scale. Well, okay, now Bach uses these 3 scales. So does Chopin. So does Beethoven. Why don't we practice them? Let's practice the melodic minor scale. And practice the arpeggios also. Now, another thing about practicing technique. Practice it improvisationally. Don't get set on just this. That's only one way. How about this? See, I did this going up, but then this coming down. That's sort of fun to do. All right, how about... All right, so we get used to that D minor triad going up and down, and as well as the scale. Okay, don't practice hands together. The reason I say that it's more valuable to do it hands separately, because you can concentrate on that hand. Then you concentrate on the other hand, rather than being confused by the fact that your hands are, opposite. The 5th finger is the thumb here on the top, that kind of thing. It just doesn't work very well. Practice your left hand. Whatever you do. Now I made a little mistake there. Not a big deal. But be creative, all right? Be creative. Don't put the hands together. It's just not productive. Okay, what else do we have? Now, we've got the major 6th, major 7th. All right, how about the minor 6th and major 7th? Not a big deal. How about combining them a little bit, the melodic minor and the harmonic minor? Now, look what I did there. Put in some chromatic notes in there, half steps. Now, there's a little rule in most theory books. I hate it. Ascend, melodic minor, descend, normal minor. Why? I have never found in any theory book the why to this, except they say that's how you're supposed to do it, or that is the melodic minor scale. Melodic up, but normal coming down. Why is normal minor coming down still melodic minor? I mean, there's so much in music theory manuals that just doesn't make any sense. Practice one scale at a time. Now, if you want to combine it like this, fine. Do you see what I'm doing here? I'm just improvising a little bit around these scales. But be careful. Don't combine scales too much, otherwise you get in the habit of doing one thing up and one thing down. Left hand. Minor 6, major 7. You see, I add some note in addition to. This can be a lot of fun. Another nice value to this, besides it being very, very good to do it, it's just fun. Okay, what else do we have? Oh, the normal minor. Now don't try to do this. Oh, this is awful. You'll never get anywhere by doing it. Okay, next thing, some chords, okay? Melodic minor. Minor, major, major tetrachord. Now remember the major 6, major 7. See a little bit of improvisation there. Improvisation simply means, as a basic definition, choices. You make your choices. Do you do this or you do this? It's just a choice. But you don't plan it ahead of time. That's what makes it improvisation. That's what makes it so valuable. You don't learn to improvise. You improvise to learn. That's basic. Okay, so now then with the major 6, this 4 chord, the sub-dot here, is major, and so is the dominant major. 4 and 5, the sub-dot, the dominant, and then the minor. Now that's pretty, isn't it? Actually, this is a 4 chord which has the minor 7th also, the minor 3rd, the minor 7th. This is what you need to be aware of. Ooh, isn't that nice? Now, another basic thing that you can think about is, how do you get from one place to another? All right, I have now wanted to get down to D for D minor. Well, I did half steps down there. It's much more interesting than just that, but that's good too. But there's no good or bad or anything. It's just different possibilities, which is called improvisation. Do something with it. Now, you have this, you also have this from the 3rd, and from the 5th. And same thing again. From the 3rd, then from different ways to doing these things. Major 6, major 7. Now let's do the minor 6, minor 7. Nice, huh? But it has to be practiced in an improvisation type of work. Very, very pretty chords that you can work with this. The tonic chord is always minor. The subdominant is either major with your major 6 or it's minor with your minor 6 of the scale. But it's the minor 3rd of the chord. The minor 7th here, which is the minor 3rd of the triad, and that's your basic. It's very, very pretty and loads of fun to work with. But you're going to have to take it real carefully. Notice my getting to the D by way of the lower half step. Chopin does that a lot. Well, okay, get yourself set with scale work, arpeggio work, and always improvising. Never anything just set. And that's what you're used to doing, I know. You're used to sitting down at the piano and practicing your scales. That's fine. But that doesn't lead anywhere. That doesn't lead to anything of understanding of these 3 different types of scales. They're absolutely necessary for you to learn, number 1, that major 6, major 7th, minor 6, minor 7th, and minor 6, major 7th. Okay? Absolutely necessary. You must work with them. Okay, now, your prelude number 5 is in D minor, so there's your minor 6, which is the minor 3rd of the G minor. Now, those 2 measures there, it doesn't have a root. And if you studied the Bach, learning the language of music with Bach, you will understand that diminished chords, which this doesn't have a root. So it's a dominant without a root. Now, your dominant, remember, has 2 definitions. The 5th note of the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the dominant. But this particular chord here is a diminished chord, and this represents the major 3rd, the C sharp of the A. So it's actually A dominant, minor 9th. And the dominant moves into the tonic. Okay, now, it's important to understand this concept of chords without a root. And sometimes it's delayed root too. So there's a lot of little twists and turns to music, and that's what makes music so fascinating. So understand and apply the basic rule of the missing root. Now, on this, you've also got the major third and the minor seventh, which is a tritone, whole step, whole step, whole step. So, now there's your subject, G minor. Okay, and this was the minor ninth of A, and it was the minor third of G minor. This also is important to understand that notes and even chords can have different functions within your scale. Right now we're working with this D minor scale. So there's your G minor, there's your A dominant minor 9, G minor, minor third, D minor. Be able to see that and be able to understand and be able to hear it. Okay, once more, go ahead. We're back to D minor. Now at this point, we no longer have the minor seventh and the major, the minors. The minor sixth or the major, you know what I'm talking about. But here we have a G sharp and a B on top. Well, all right. Now take a look at the second measure there. You've got an E major chord there. And your minor seventh. So these two measures here, from here, this is of the E major, that's the fifth of E major or E dominant. This is the third. And so on. And so on. Okay. So. Then to A minor. So these sections here, from here, is in the key of A minor. And that's a dominant without its root. There it is, the root in the left hand. These are not two different chords just because that first measure is without the root. It's all the same notes. You've got your E. Well, you got your E here. So the major third, the E is the root, and the D is the minor seventh. So there's your tritone. You've got to see the notes within the scale to be able to determine what the harmony is also. Well, now just those three measures are really an A key of A minor. Now we switch to a different chord here and a different key. Okay, now we've got this chord here. Let's rearrange it so we can figure out what it is. All right, we got a G in the bottom. We got an A, so bring the A down an octave. Oh, there it is. It's an A half diminished. The minor third, the diminished fifth, and the minor seventh. Now, with such a chord here, it doesn't have the root on the bottom. The root then is the A, which is in the right hand, and the minor seventh in the left hand. What I will do, and I have done it here, is drawing a line. I don't know if you can see this, but a line underneath 2, which is the supertonic. A is the supertonic of G minor. Draw a line and put in there the minor seventh. Don't use this figured bass nonsense. You know, it's really not nonsense, but it was developed during the Baroque for the Baroque keyboardist, either piano or organ or harpsichord, even guitar. But they didn't use Roman numerals. And then when 100 or 200 years later, I don't know when, but they started using Roman numerals and everything started getting haywire. Totally nonsense. Okay, draw a line, put the root, I mean the third or the ninth, whatever it happens to be, as a number. That's it. Don't use this figured bass business. You have to go through the figured bass to figure out what the root is, or what the lowermost note is. Just write it in, whatever it is. Well, there's your G minor. Now, these next few measures on the next page, you can take your choice as to which key you like. Do you want to keep it in G minor? Well, then E. Okay, then you would have this as a C dominant. And there's your minor seventh and your major third, and that are the characteristic intervals of the C dominant, which then moves to F. So that's quite good. Just C dominant to F major, just 5-to-1 kind of thing. But if you choose to keep that in G minor, then C is 4. That's a 4 dominant. Now this is what confounds theorists. They say, oh, this is secondary dominant. Well, it's 5 of what? 5 of a minor 7. Oh my goodness. You see how this gets so difficult? 5 of flat 7 into 3. 5, 7 to 3. Just make it the subdominant, which is a dominant. Now, number one, subdominant is 4. Roman numeral 4. Remember, Roman numerals are functions, position within the scale. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we've got the identity is the dominant, consisting of a major third and a minor seventh, which then moves into your 4 chord. So, if you want to change that to an F major, fine. 5-to-1 of F major. The next one is D minor, which now you're back to minor, D minor. So now I hate to be modulating all the time, but it's not a problem with it if it's meaningful for you. The point is there's no right thing to do in every single situation. It's always what is the most meaningful for you. Okay. Ooh, how this is I hate to break this up, but I just love this prelude. It's just got everything in it. It's just, and this walking bass line in the left hand. That kind of thing. It's just absolutely marvelous. There's an aria from one of the, well, what shall I say? I forgot what it is. But it has these walking bass line. Anyway, okay. Choose whatever key that you want. And if you want to do a modulation there, if it means something to you, fine. Now then, we get into D minor. Now then, we've got the minor 7th and the minor 6th in this scale. I goofed that up a little bit. Now this left hand. There's your leading tone to D minor. So this is like a dominant, which is, or, that's it. So the leading tone leads into the tonic. And always do a little improvising whenever you have a chance. Okay. Now then, if we have modulation back to D minor, on this, fine. That's dominant. have to determine what makes the most sense to you from D minor into G minor. So we go from D minor into G minor. Well, where did we do that? Well, A dominant, and so it's, you know, which is it? I don't know. D minor. G minor. Now then we have a E minor chord here. E flat major actually. And the third's on the bottom. Draw your line and put underneath a third, and I've got it up here. Sometimes I'll put it up here, sometimes I'll put it down here. Draw a line, what's on the bottom? It's the third. This is a Neapolitan, a supertonic. Into the dominant, okay? So, there's Bach using a Neapolitan chord there. Gorgeous. Okay. Then we're in the key of D minor here. Okay. Now then, that will be the leading tone to D minor of the next line on this page. So this obviously will be A minor, but you don't see an A up there. So it has to be, there's your minor ninth. Now there's your, okay, the leading tone is C sharp, which is the third of the dom, but you don't see an A there, so it's a missing root. That concept of missing roots is important because it's dominant to tonic. Without the concept of a missing root, it doesn't do that. Then you'll dominant, it does something else, and who knows what. Okay? So here we go. Okay, there's so much music to be learned by improvising, and then going ahead and then analyzing your piece, and as you go along, 5, 1, and now when you have 5, then you will have the major third, or the key of A major. And be sure you can understand that. Now, D minor to A major to D to A dominant, or that, but either eliminate the 7th or put it in, that minor 7th for the dominant. Understand what you're doing and improvise on it, as I showed you on the learning the language of music through Bach. Here's a great example right here. So that's enough for today. Have fun with it. Bye-bye.